can unify to do the right thing, or you can unify to do the wrong thing. You can unify in a purpose behind the wrong leader, just like you can unify in rebellion against the right leader. Oh my God, I'm about to open up a can of worms in here. Not snakes, worms. I had enough. I've dealt with enough snakes. I cut their heads off, and I'm about to open a can of worms that some of y'all are going to have to decide whether you want to deal with it or not. Because what we have two huge examples in the Old Testament of exactly what I'm talking about. We have an example in Genesis chapter 11 in building the Tower of Babel, where the people at that time united behind a leader named Nimrod. Nimrod was a powerful, highly gifted individual. He is responsible for building 3 major cities during that time, 2 of them of which you are very familiar with, Nineveh and Babylon. He is responsible for what the building of the Tower of Babel is all about. And if you've got your Bible, I don't have this up on the screen, and I'm already freelancing, so I don't know. We'll go back to that. So just walk with me here. Now the whole earth used the same language and the same words. And it came as they journeyed east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they used brick for stone, and they used tar for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build for ourselves a city and a tower whose top will reach into heaven, and let us make for ourselves a name. Otherwise we will be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. Now, how many know that they thought what they were doing was incredibly important? And this is important. We got to build this city. We got to build this tower. We got to make a name for ourselves. We got to make a name for us. We got to let everybody on the face of the earth know that we got it going, that we're the best. So they built what at that time was the largest building in the world. It stretched over 300 feet into the air. Now, I stopped right here and didn't finish reading because I want you to see that it says that God came down to look at it. How many know that God could see it up there? But it wasn't that big, so he had to come down for a closer look. You'll get it in a minute. Man was doing a great work. We're going to build a great city. We're going to plant ourselves here. We're going to disobey the Lord's command to go and take dominion of the earth that He gave originally to Adam and the woman, and who He also gave to Noah and his families when He said, "Now go and populate the earth." He said, "Go, go, go." And the people decided, we're going to stay. And we're going to build something great, great, great. And they thought they'd built something so great. And God said it was so small He had to come down so He could see it good enough to see what was. I better read the rest of this before I get carried away. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they all have the same language. And this is what they began to do. And now nothing which they purpose to do will be impossible for them." That is one of the most incredible statements that God ever said about mankind. And what makes it even more incredible was He wasn't talking about saved people. He was talking about a world that had already begun to turn their back on Him again, and we're just talking about a few generations away from the flood. And God said, even if an unsanctified people who are disobedient to me, even even if those people will totally unite together for the purpose, for the cause that they want to see accomplished, nothing shall be impossible for them. That's huge. That's huge. And God says, for that purpose, because their cause and their purpose runs opposite to my cause and my purpose, I will not allow that to go on for long. Now, how many know he evidently let them get that thing almost built? God will let the wrong thing go a long way before He deals with it sometimes. Why? Because what started as small rebellion turned into big rebellion, and He wanted to go ahead and ripen so He could destroy the whole thing and show everyone that no matter how good you think you're doing, united in the wrong thing, there will come a time that I will judge it. Now, they all have the same language. I won't read. You know the story. Most everybody knows the rest of the story. You can read it there. They all have the same language. So what did God decide to do? He decided to change the languages of the people. He separated them. Most translations use the word confuse. He confused the languages. That's actually the only time that word is translated confused in the Old Testament. It actually means to mix. Now, it's important to me that I saw that because the Bible also says that God's not the author of confusion. Right? So He wasn't trying to confuse them. He was trying to separate them. So the way He separated them was He mixed their languages. And suddenly they were not able to understand certain people. How many of you know when you don't understand the person that you're working with, unity goes out the window? That one went over well. Thank you, Jesus. I was looking for that point that I could connect. That's what's wrong with the world today. It is still what is wrong with the world today. People groups speaking different languages, have different cultures, thinking differently. It all started at Babylon. And because they can't communicate, they can't understand one another properly, they're working for their own thing and against what everybody else is doing. That's the reason the world's in the mess it's in. But God had to separate them from one another so that He could eventually separate unto Himself a people. And in the next chapter, we go out of Genesis chapter 11 and we go into Genesis chapter 12, where God calls out Abraham and his family out of this very place. There's a lot of preaching today about separating from people so you can go to the next level. I don't like I don't like some of the tone of some of the messages I've heard on that, because it makes it sound like that it's a race that we're trying to beat everybody else to be the best before God. So you want to leave everybody else that's not racing with you. When I think we ought to be taking everybody that we can with us, that'll go. But nonetheless, there are those times where God says, I need you to separate yourself from relationships that you are united to that are keeping you in the wrong place for the wrong purpose and for the wrong thing. And until you are willing to separate yourself from some of these relationships, you'll never be able to obey God and be in a place where the blessing can be commanded upon you. Why? Because you will be united to the wrong group. It could be in the workplace. It could be friends. It could be family. You say, well, now, how am I supposed to separate myself? Do I go and tell them, I'm separated from you, I have to leave you? No. You just start going on and being obedient to God and doing the right thing, and the separation will take care of itself. That's the difference in the motivation. But God is trying to separate us unto Himself today. He's telling us, be ye separate. Come out from the world. Be different from the world. Quit following the leaders that look good, that sound good, that may be building great businesses, maybe building great ministries, maybe becoming great world leaders, and people are running to them by the hundreds and millions to unite around them, but they are running to them and uniting with them for the wrong purpose. Nimrod he had to be an incredibly charismatic leader because the people were falling all over themselves. This wasn't slave labor we're talking about here. This was a people that united under the wrong leadership to build the wrong thing in disobedience to God. So, uniting behind the wrong leader will bring judgment. Everybody gets that, right? But the flip side of that is true as well. And the flip side of that is found in Numbers chapter 14. And in Numbers chapter 14, what you have is a God-appointed leader named Moses, who is sent by God to a people to deliver them with power, to lead them out of their bondage, and bring them into a promised land that God said was for them. Now, Moses was not self-appointed, but neither was he man-appointed. He got appointed at a burning bush. And at that burning bush, God spoke to his heart, empowered him with the ability to do signs and wonders, sent him back to Egypt, the place where he had left 40 years before, sent him back to that people to deliver them, and through a series of signs and wonders of judgments, Pharaoh released the people. Now, Moses then gets them out. They find themselves between a rock and a hard place. The Egyptian army on one side, the Red Sea on the other. And Moses alone stands before the people and before the sea at the word of the Lord and raises his staff, and the waters part and the people go free. Now, you would think that the next 3 months of travel from there to Mount Sinai, where they would get their last orders and instruction in how to take the promised land, would be a piece of cake. It weren't. It wasn't. The people moaned and groaned and complained at every corner. They didn't like what they were eating. They didn't like what they had. They didn't like what they didn't have. They mumbled and grumbled about everything that was in the process. And they've just been delivered. They're free. Not only are they free, they're rich. Pastor, they were slaves. They plundered the Egyptians when they left. The Egyptians were throwing gold and silver at them as they left because God caused them to. So this goes to show you that even if you've got a little money, it don't matter. You're not happy if you're not. What'd you do to my thing? Did I go to sleep on you? Yeah, probably me. I don't need it anyway. I'm already so far off those, this doesn't even count. So Moses finally gets them to Sinai, goes up on the mountain. They see fire and smoke on the mountain. They hear thunder. They see the lightning flashing. They know Moses is up there in the presence of God, getting a word from God, and they are so excited about it. No.